Hello again, Luke Bug, the Geek of Steel here, and I'm back with my spoiler-free review of the brand new movie, The Suicide Squad. And this will be spoiler-free. I don't want to ruin anything about this movie. I want you to go in and watch this with an open mind and have your mind blown as much as mine was. Today is Wednesday, the 14th of July, and yesterday I was kindly invited by Warner Brothers UK to go to a special screening, and this movie has been one that I've been waiting for quite some time. So I was very grateful to be able to see it early, so I could prepare myself and get my reviews ready and all my content all lined up for the upcoming weeks. This movie is going to entertain, shock, make people gasp, make people laugh, make people wince. It is just absolute crazy fun and nothing like we have ever seen before. Whether it be a DC Comics movie, a Marvel movie, or any movie in general, this one stands alone as something completely just adventurous and crazy and all the things. And I'm looking forward to hearing other people's reactions around the world and how they felt when they watched this movie, when they witnessed certain scenes, and when they saw certain characters do certain things. I'm being vague here, as I don't want to spoil it, but on quite a few of the posters, you could hear the phrase, see the phrase, "Don't get too attached." And yeah, don't get too attached. We've seen the trailers, we've seen the posters, we have seen who is in this movie, and I think many of us have already got our favourites, ones that stand out, or whether you're a die-hard fan of Harley Quinn, or you want to see more of Polka Dot Man. Trust me, I will get to this later on. You want to see more of Polka Dot Man. Fantastic stuff. Or I think a lot of the world, like me, has gone crazy for a certain special character voiced by the one and only Sylvester Stallone, and that is King Shark. And there he is, my special son, a character that I just fell instantly in love with, and I couldn't wait to see more of in this film. And the trailers so far, well, it's barely scratched the surface. We get to see so much of all the characters. Everyone gets their time to shine. Everyone gets a fantastic, almost origin story. But when we see them working alone and working together, it is a fantastic experience. And it's hard for me to pick a favourite out of this movie. But I need to say it a few more times before I do pick out that one character that means the most to me. So far, it is still King Shark because it's just fantastic, and I can't help but just want to give him a big cuddle. But Harley Quinn had some momentous scenes, and Rick Flag also just dominated any scene that he was in. Peacemaker, John Cena, wow, that is a character we got to see quite a lot of in this film, put it that way. And I'm excited to see the upcoming TV show that he will be in later on this year or next year, I believe. But yeah, just a very fun movie. I've said this before in podcasts and in videos and in interviews. I like to go into a movie and switch off. Just sit back and be told a story by someone else, because that is what I feel a cinematic experience should be. I don't want to be, giving my own thoughts. I don't want to guess too much because I want to be surprised. I want to be taken back. And with this movie from start to finish, I didn't know where it was going. Yes, I knew some of the storyline. I knew some of the villains that were going to be in it. We saw glimpses of a certain super villain, and it just delivers. Combine that with the wonderful writing and direction from James Gunn, and you've got just this great chemistry of the team behind the scenes and the team in front of the camera. And yeah, just so much fun. So much fun. So, yeah, yesterday I saw the film and I'm still going through all my thoughts. I took lots of notes on the train home and I've written a lot of those down. There are spoilers and non spoilers in there, but as I said, there will be no spoilers in this review. Just me babbling and just remembering how much I enjoyed this movie and how I can't wait to see it again. But if you have been living under a rock for the last few years, you wouldn't know about this movie. So let me whet your appetite, as it were. I've got this quick press release in front of me, and it says, from writer-director James Gunn comes Warner Brothers Pictures' superhero action-adventure, The Suicide Squad, featuring a collection of the most degenerate delinquents in the DC lineup. Welcome to Hell, aka Belle Reve, the prison with the highest mortality rate in the US of A, where the worst supervillains are kept and where they will do anything to get out. Even join the super secret Task Force X. Today's do or die assignment: assemble a collection of cons, including Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Captain Boomerang, Ratcatcher 2, Savant, King Shark, Blackguard, Javelin, and everyone's favourite psycho, Harley Quinn. Then arm them heavily and drop them, literally, on the remote, enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese, trekking through a jungle teeming with militant adversaries and guerrilla forces at every turn. Their squad is on a search and destroy mission, with only Colonel Rick Flag on the ground to make them behave, and Amanda Waller's government techies in their ears, tracking every movement. And as always, one wrong move, and they're dead, whether at the hands of their opponents, a teammate, or Waller herself. If anyone's laying down bets, the smart money is against them. All of them. But yes, you are not ready. I've said that plenty of times, but it opens up visually. Everything is very bright in this movie. Now, yes, there has been another Suicide Squad movie before this one. It's a very different story. Yes, we see some of the same characters, some of the same scenarios, as it were. This is its own movie. This is a lot of fun. I enjoyed many elements of the other Suicide Squad movie, but this one I am going to look back on fondly, that's for sure. And just because of the absolute visual roller coaster of a ride that I had whilst watching this movie. From the opening scene to the end scene. And yes, there is a post-credit scene in this movie. I think now, even if you do start leaving a movie before the credits have ended, I feel that's a mistake. You need to watch the credits, not only to see how many fantastic names made this movie happen, but you never know. You might get surprised with a post-credit scene, and we do get that in the Suicide Squad. But what I did love about the credits for this movie as well is the amount of thanks that was given to so many DC Comics writers and artists. I don't want to say any names because, again, that's spoilers, but there have been some fantastic names featured in these credits, and one of them, who I was very proud to see, has been a guest on the podcast of Steel, and I can't wait to congratulate them when I speak to them next or see them pop up online. But without comics, we would not have these movies today. And so when a movie like this thanks the creators of the comics, it makes me happy that they are getting the recognition that they so well and truly deserve. It was only recently that the wonderful Richard Donner passed away, and without him, the world of comic book movies would not be the world it is today. And I'm sure in time, many more TV shows and movies will have an honourable mention to that wonderful man. Films will be dedicated to Richard Donner. And I just love it when I see comic creators on the big screen and all the names, all the digital artists and stunt crew and fashion designers and costume designers that worked on this movie needs to be seen to be believed. So thank you, first of all, to James Gunn and to every single person that worked on this movie, because you are going to make many people very, very happy. So, as I said, I've got notes and I feel that I'm already rambling. But that happens when I'm happy and when I'm excited and when I've got all these thoughts in my head. So we know the storyline now. We know it is about this group of prisoners that need to help out to get their prison time reduced, to get their sentences revoked, to be a functioning member of society in a way, and help out in the best way they can. Whether that be shooting, manipulating, eating people, throwing polka dots at people. Polka Dot Man, again, just such a wonderful character that I never thought we would see on the big screen, and we have now, and I'm happy, and I want more. But I've got notes about every single character in this movie. Some that I can mention, and some that I can't, because there are spoilers. So as I said, that would be on a future episode. But let's start with the person that I want to talk about the most. King Shark. Yes, fantastic work here by Sylvester Stallone. As voice artists go, I don't think he's done much voice work in the past, but he should look into it in the future because he just did some fantastic lines. Yes, we've seen that scene many times now on the internet, hand, as it were. But even though his dialogue doesn't get that deep, it doesn't get very profound, what we see and what we hear of King Shark is just a wonderful character that you can't help love, but also fear. He's very close to snapping at any given moment. And yes, he does have a taste for human flesh. But just like Bizarro, he is just this hero, I feel, that is just a little bit confused. He wants to do the right thing, but sometimes doesn't. So I feel that the Suicide Squad is the perfect place for him. And he gets guidance. He starts making friends along the way. He starts getting more confident and wanting to help out the people around him. And every interaction, he makes a friend out of every single member of the Suicide Squad. And it's hard not to fall in love with King Shark. You all know this by now, that he has a special place in my heart. And it's a character that I was greedy. I wanted to see more King Shark scenes. But we saw a lot. We saw beautiful scenes. We saw dramatic. We saw heroic scenes. We saw gory scenes. The gore is something that I will get to later on. And yes, it's hard not to feel that Harley Quinn is the leader, the alpha member of the Suicide Squad, compared with Rick Flag now and Peacemaker. They've all got something special to bring to the table, but King Shark you just can't help but fall in love with. And I know that the world will love his scenes as well. But let's go on to Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie did a fantastic job in the first Suicide Squad movie. I thought she was fantastic in Birds of Prey. In this film, it's more of the same. Fantastic costumes, fantastic acting, classic Harley Quinn moments where he just goes completely off the rails. But we do get emotional scenes as well. We get a deep look into her life, whether it be with romantic partners or the issues that she's dealt with being this member of the DC Comics universe. We all know of her by now. There are many different types of Harley Quinn fans, whether it be from the comics, the TV animated series, or the movies. Everyone knows who Harley Quinn is. And in this movie, we get to see some more depths to her character, I feel. Yes, we see her kicking butt, as it were. There is one particular scene, quite like the scene from Birds of Prey, where it's just her taking on dozens upon dozens of militia, and how she gets out of a jam was done very beautifully. Fantastic visuals that I was not expecting, and that's a scene. There are many scenes in this film that I want to see again, but it's a scene that I need to see on an IMAX screen. Now, I've quoted movies before by saying the line of, watch this film on the biggest screen you can. This is the same instance where I will recycle that quote. If you can see this on a huge screen, do it. If you want to watch it at home, you will be equally as impressed. Just make sure that the TV is large or you're sitting closely, because the visuals, especially with that, I would say the breakout scene with Harley Quinn, was just beautifully done. And just her quotes, how she connects with new characters and old characters, her chemistry is it's wonderful. And it's a character that I'm very happy to see portrayed on the screen again. And if we never get to see Margot Robbie perform as Harley Quinn again, as some rumours have already stated, I feel that this is a wonderful movie for her to retire from that role, if that is the case. But don't get me wrong, I really want to see more of Harley Quinn. We see a lot of her in this, and yes, I will state that there is quite a rather romantic scene, I'll put it that way, between her and another character in the movie. I won't say who because of spoilers, but on-screen chemistry with Harley Quinn and any other character is just so much fun to watch, and she was back with a vengeance in this movie. And who else did we have? Let me just pick some more names at random that I've written down in my notes. So, John Cena. You like that? For those listening to the podcast, I did the John Cena hand movement across my face. As many of we know, yes, John Cena, wrestler, actor, muscle man. I was very intrigued to see how he would be in this movie as the Peacemaker character, and I was not disappointed. There are, again, more levels to this character as well. He's charming, he's quite deceitful at times, he's violent, he's patriotic, he's determined. A few times he's a bit of a douche, I'll say that. But hilarious in every scene. And John Cena has done a fantastic job with this character, with the fighting, with the... Well, he's very good with all of the weapons in this film. We get to see him use a lot of weapons in this film. And I'm excited for the TV show that I believe just finished filming a few days ago. James Gunn has to be, one of these hardest working people in Hollywood. Not only did he make this unbelievably explosive and action-packed movie, he's also been working on this TV show for HBO Max. And without me saying too much, I am very excited for this show. Now, he's a character that I didn't fall for as much as the other characters. And I think it was written that way. There's always a little bit of doubt in your mind about this character and some other characters that make you second guess their actions. And as we said, the poster says don't get too attached, but also don't trust too many of the characters. Even though it's probably quite hard to trust a member of the Suicide Squad, John Cena's portrayal of Peacemaker was fantastic. And I want to see more of that again as well. Now, let's talk about Idris. Idris Elba as Bloodsport. Fantastic costume again, first of all. But Idris, nobody else can act like Idris Elba. I think he's a fantastic performer. He's very expressive with not only his dialogue, but his face. He can give a seriously mean look that just portrays the fact that he means business, that he's down to work. And from the moment we get the introduction to Idris Elba as Bloodsport, we are, I feel, connected to his background, his origin story. We don't get too much about that. I would have liked some more. We do find out a little bit about him and his reasons for maybe reluctantly joining the Suicide Squad. But yes, I loved his costume. Again, more weapons, just like Peacemaker. His very unique weapons that he has. Basically, he can pick anything up and kill somebody with it. A lot like Peacemaker. And there is one scene that involves the two of them where they're almost showing off their abilities to maim, decapitate, and destroy living life. And yes, it was a great a moment between those two characters, and really showed their the chemistry between the two of them. And I'm looking forward to seeing that one again, because I know what happens at the end of it. And I can't wait to speak with people about this movie. So I did have a chat last night with somebody else who watched the movie with me, and that was Paul from DC World. Paul, if you're listening, hello, sir. Thank you for experiencing this movie with me. And yeah, it was just... You are going to have your minds blown when you see this film. That's all I will say. I wrote down quite a few sort of quotes for this film when I came out last night. I was just thinking of ways that how I could express this film in as little words as possible. And, it was an exciting train home. But some of the quotes that I did write down, when I get back to, I'll talk about some more of the other characters in a moment. Suicide Squad needs to be seen to be believed. Suicide Squad is like nothing I've seen before. Suicide Squad gives no Fs and takes no prisoners. My eyes and brain were not expecting any of that. Maniacal movie madness, as I love alliteration. You won't blink from start to finish. Watch this on a huge screen. Your eyes will thank you. 2 hours of explosive thrills, action, twists, and laughs. Unapologetically awesome. A masterclass of comic story action combined with a slasher horror. So, yes, slasher horror. Let's talk about that. This film is not for kids. Okay, this has, I believe, a R rating in America. And if anything in the UK, it would be a 15 or an 18, maybe. There's a lot of blood in this film. There is a lot of maiming. There is a lot of bodies being destructed, destroyed, exploded, decapitated. And I was ready for it in a certain sense, because it's been told to the world. James Gunn has said this film is nothing like he's ever made before. Now, recently I have watched some of his previous work. I did watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I think they're fantastic movies. They are very fun, very visually pleasing. And yes, there were some certain elements to Guardians of the Galaxy that were similar to the Suicide Squad, but they weren't many. They weren't many at all. This film, as I said, stands alone. The music, though, I can't wait for the soundtrack, put it that way. We've discovered James Gunn has shared a few of the tracks that will be on the soundtrack, but it's his musical taste that always makes me smile in the movie, and this soundtrack was another fantastic one. From the very first song, which was perfect, by the way, to the songs that you can hear in the background, to the songs that play through the credits, it was just a roller coaster for the ears. Just as this movie was a roller coaster for my brain and my eyes, the music was fantastic, as well as the score, which I can't wait to own as well. But let's get back to some of the other characters that we have seen in the trailers. And one specifically, Rick Flag, as I said, Joel Kinnaman. We got to see more of his personality in this movie. We did see him in the first Suicide Squad, but in this one, he's down there. You know, you've got quite a lot of these strong characters that are in the Suicide Squad, but you've got Rick that has to control these absolute monsters, physical monsters with King Shark and these other villains. Yes, we know that Amanda Waller has this kill switch where she can deactivate them in a flash, but I feel that Rick Flag has a more important job of not just controlling these characters, but also making them work together. At the end of the day, the Suicide Squad is a team, and they need somebody that can inspire them and motivate them and make them do the job properly, and Rick is that person. And I enjoyed every single scene with Rick Flag. He also has a fantastic t-shirt that I need to add to my ever-increasing t-shirt collection. And again, my head is just filled with these visual reminders of what I witnessed yesterday. And I can't wait to see them again. I loved him interacting with Harley Quinn. There's definitely some chemistry there between the two of them. There is some romantic intrigue, I feel. He's definitely got a lot of love for Harley Quinn and vice versa. And Harley, you know, she's a good girl at heart. She likes making friends and working together. She can go off every now and again and go completely rogue and do her own thing. But I love it when she works as a team and when she interacts with Rick. It's always fun to witness that. Now, another character that we didn't really... Well, I didn't know too much about before was Ratcatcher 2. Why is she called Ratcatcher 2? Well, we do find this out in the film. But Alice Braga, a fantastic actress. And I'm not really big on rats. And there is another character in this movie that dislikes rats just as much as me. But they start to grow on me throughout this movie. And it is down to Ratcatcher 2. Because she has a lot of heart, a lot of character, a lot of backstory, and a fantastic origin story that I wanted to find out more about. And her powers, as it were very well used. The third act, which I will get to later on, is just mind-blowing. And everybody gets a big part in it. But so I'm still thinking and still seeing things. Ratcatcher 2 is a fantastic character. And her accomplices work some serious movie magic into this film. And if you have got a phobia of rats, I would still say watch this film, because you can always watch the film through closed fingers. And I want to go back and see this film again so I can watch the audience. I want to see how they react, because there were lots of gasps when I was watching the film, mainly because I was the one making them. But there were gasps, there was laughter, there was shock, there was awe, and there's just so much to take in. And lots of madness. Madness is a perfect way to describe it. But yes, Alice Braga as Ratcatcher 2, she did a fantastic job. And another character that I want more of is Polka Dot Man. Just because of the madness for the character and what we got to see of him and his origin story, it is just so much fun. Now, David Dastmalchian is a name and a face that we know. He's been in DC Comics movies before, he's been in Marvel movies, and I hope after this movie he gets a lot more roles and a lot more screen time, because he deserves it. Yes, he's a wonderful physical actor, but we get to see so much of him in this movie. Not just the polka dots, but also how he came to be. And he's got quite a sad backstory. His origin story isn't the most inspiring, but sometimes those kind of stories are the ones where we can relate to a character more. And I think, as well as King Shark, Polka Dot Man is going to be many people's favourite character, just because words I'm trying to find. He's just fantastic, and his scenes are the ones that I need to see on an IMAX screen. So much colour, so much passion and power and comedy. It truly was a joy to see those scenes. As well, of course, as a lot of the King Shark moments, there's one very vivid, colourful scene with King Shark that will blow you all away. Anything that's got Polka Dot Man in it, and it needs more. The world needs more colour, and this film gives a lot of it. From the opening scene to the final scene, explosive colour is a good way to describe this movie. And yeah, Polka Dot Man stole a big chunk of my heart, that is for sure. Michael Rooker, as we know, has been in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and his character in this as Savant, opening scene is when we first get to see him, and we get a big idea of what he's like. He's a great character, and yeah, he's fun. He's got one of those faces again, just like Idris Elba. He means business. He can stop you in your tracks with a single stare, and he's a powerful man. And I'm glad we got to see more of Michael Rooker in this one. Now, and another person that we've seen in James Gunn's movies before is his brother, Sean Gunn. Now, we see him in this movie as Weasel. Now, I did not know what to think of this character. And I think that's what James Gunn was trying to do, is the fact that he's just got not the most lovable of faces, or bodies, or mannerisms. He's a weasel. What more do you expect? It's a weasel that has killed many people, including children. But we get to see a lot of his character, in certain scenes of the movie. And spoiler alert, Sean Gunn also plays somebody else in this movie. And he was, yeah, you can tell that anytime Sean Gunn is on set, he's having a fun time. And I love that brothership between the two of James and Sean, where they can just. I'm sure he likes putting his brother in these crazy roles, as it were. But I loved Weasel, and even though it was quite unpleasant to look at and hear some of the noises that came out of him, it's an interesting dynamic to the film. And I'm not sure many cuddly toys will be released of this character, but I'm sure a Funko Pop is coming out already. But just a crazy character. Other characters that I have a lot of love for, and let's have a look. Flula Borg, a fantastic comedian and musician, and he played Javelin in this film. If you haven't watched any of his music videos or his YouTube videos, please pause this podcast, pause this video, and just go and enjoy some craziness and musical talent, and his humour about the English language and English stereotypes and all sorts of things is just hilarious. But in this film, we saw a different side, and the Javelin is an interesting character. Another interesting character in this sea of interesting characters, and some great chemistry between Harley Quinn as well. And it's a film that makes me want to go back and read more comics and read more into the Suicide Squad. And that is why I love it when you see on posters sometimes now, is that these are the comics that, if you want to know more about these characters, go and read these comics. And I think over the next few days, I'm going to compile a list of all, well, some of maybe the top 10 Suicide Squad stories, because I want to read them. There are so many stories out there, Superman or Batman or Suicide Squad, that I have not read yet, and I want to read more. And yes, Javelin, what a character. And some more characters that, I don't want to talk too much about maybe what potentially happens to them or how they interact with other characters, because the trailers so far and the posters I mentioned, they've only scratched the surface. And yep, I've got a section here on my notes, I'm going to spin it round quickly and back again, that is just all about the spoilers, and I might attach that on the end of this podcast with big warnings beforehand that what I will be talking about. But I've only seen this film once. This is the kind of film that I would gladly leave the theatre and go back in and watch it again, just like I did with Man of Steel, just like I did with Batman v Superman and Wonder Woman. It's a film that needs to be seen and appreciated. There's so much going on in a lot of the busy scenes that you feel like you've missed out on something. And one of those scenes was quite in the beginning. It's a beach scene, and in my head, and it reminded me of Saving Private Ryan, the beach scene in that. And if you've seen that film, you know how violent and how graphic that scene is. And that's what you get in this movie. You get gore. You get graphic scenes. You get very gory sound effects. And yeah. If you're squeamish, take a cushion to the cinema while you watch this film. Because there are a few scenes where you may think you know where it's going, but you're wrong. And you'll be shocked and sometimes very shocked about what you see, what you hear, and it's hard not to feel as well, in a way, some of the injuries that happen to certain people, and many, many deaths. Goodness gracious me. I'm not saying who, but you will be surprised. That is for sure. Just when you think it couldn't get more gory, it does. And now, in the trailers, we have seen a glimpse, as it were, of Starro. We know Starro's in this. This isn't a spoiler, as it were. And it's not just a blink and you'll miss it cameo. It's a lot. You get an almost origin story. We see some of the reasons why Starro is like the way it is. But I was so happy to see this just insane comic book character on the big screen at last, getting its moment of glory. Just absolute madness. This is one of those scenes that I really must see again, from start to finish. Now, this isn't until pretty much the third act of the movie, and just when you think the film couldn't get more action-packed and adventurous, that's when Starro appears, and it gets just bloody brilliant, and I couldn't get enough of it. And Peter Capaldi, the Thinker, and how his origin story and his movement in the film, his character connects with the Suicide Squad and with Starro and with everybody else, was brilliant. And Peter Capaldi is a fantastic actor, whether he be in serious roles or whether he's playing Doctor Who. He can take on a role and make it his own. And how he interacts with different members of the Suicide Squad in this movie was brilliant. Great chemistry, great comedy, great villainy. Wonderful stuff that I was just very happy to watch him do his thing, as it were. And that goes for everybody in this film. As I said, I mean, yes, there are lots of times when we get to see characters and heroes and villains get their own portion of screen time. But when they all work together, and when they fight each other, when they work together, when they argue with each other, when they come together, enemies become friends, friends become enemies, that classic cliche, it was great to watch. And I can't wait to get back in there for this movie experience, as I said. Now, another name that we know is in this movie was Taika Waititi. Now, I loved this character, and that's all I'm going to say. That's it. I'm not going to mention his name, who he is, what he plays, who he voices. I'll try and be as vague as I can possibly be. But I love Taika as a movie director, creator, and actor. And the sides we get to see of him in this movie were different to the portrayals that he's played before. But he did a fantastic job. And he's going to make many people very happy, I feel. Both in this film and in the future. With his, he's got quite a lot on his plate right now. And he's busy for good reasons. And I'm always excited to see his name pop up on an IMDb movie page. Whether it be a big scene, a small scene, or something behind the scenes. He's a fantastically charismatic character. And he's very creative. And I can't see what he gets up to next. But what else have I got in my notes? Most of my notes are about the costumes and about the characters and those spoilers. But it's King Shark for me. We know it was going to be King Shark from the beginning. My special son. just... I love Sylvester Stallone, for starters. And I love the relationship that he's made with James Gunn over the years. But whether it be seeing him in a Rocky movie or like a comedy movie, if you've not seen Stop or My Mum Will Shoot, you need to add that to your movie list. Sylvester Stallone is one of those iconic names that if you grew up in the 80s or the 90s, if you were watching an action movie, it's going to be with Sylvester Stallone. Whether it be Rambo or Rocky or Cliffhanger or Demolition Man or Judge Dredd, he's a big part of Hollywood. And to have this iconic name be connected to this now iconic character, you would never really pair these two together. I just love that. And the voice acting in this movie, the lines that King Shark gives are beautiful and inspiring. And yes, he may not have the world's largest vocabulary, but whatever King Shark says, he says it with heart and he says it with passion. And I'm all about that. So, I was very happy to see a lot of him in this movie. And I can't wait to go back in and watch it again when it comes out, as I said, the 30th of July in the UK and on the 6th of August in America. If you can see this film on a big screen, please do. Please do. I cannot stop smiling when I think about this movie. And I can't wait to speak with you all when you can as well. Remember, if you have seen this film, don't spoil it for others. There are many ways that you could spoil this film, and that's why I didn't want to say any of these spoilers in this review. Feel free to send me a direct message. Send me an email. Talk about this movie with your friends. Do not spoil it online. Do not be that person that wants to be the first one to explain who dies, who lives, what happens to who. Just let other people enjoy it, because I want you to feel the way, how I felt when I watched this movie for the first time yesterday. And that was happy. It was excited. It was emotionally exhausted. This, for me, seeing this film in the cinema was like no other film that I've seen before. Not a DC Comics movie, not a Marvel movie. It stands alone, and it was powerful. It was a cinematic movie experience, and I've said this before that I like to go on adventures, whether that be in real life or by watching a film that takes me somewhere else. And this film, from the moment it starts, it drags you into the screen. And after that moment, you've just got to buckle yourself in and let James Gunn take you on the ride of your life. And I can't wait to go back and see this again. So, James Gunn, if you are listening, thank you for this movie. To every single member of the crew behind the scenes, whether it be the costume designers, the stunt team, the stunts in this film were brilliant. The choreography of the fighting, the hand-to-hand combat. Yes, there are lots of weapons in this movie, but there is lots of physical fighting, and the stunts were brilliant. The colourful visuals, the sets, the locations. This film not only kicks you in the butt visually, but you get the audio as well. And yeah, I can't get enough of this film, as you can probably tell, because I've been rambling now for 49 minutes. I apologise if you're still here. Thank you. But I knew that when I would be able to sit down and talk about this movie, I would be talking about it a lot. So, if you've not watched this film yet, go and watch it. If you have watched it, please don't spoil it. As I said, try not to spoil it. Don't be that villain, as it were. And it was just crazy fun. And I loved it from start to finish. And I hope that you do too. As I've said before in the past, the most important review you should take note of is your own review. I'm just here sharing my thoughts as I had to get these thoughts and feelings out of my head, onto paper, onto film, because I had to record this moment for future, well, for me in the future, as it were. I want to go back and remember how I felt when I watched this film for the first time. As soon as I left the theatre, I wanted to record a video out in the street, but I've signed many embargoes, and embargoes are serious business. I've been informed that the social media reviews are allowed to go live tomorrow morning, which is Thursday the 15th of July at 4:30 in the morning here in the UK. And it's very early for me, but I'm excited to get up and share that with the world. I want to help people get excited for this movie as much as I was to watch it yesterday. And as I said, the trailers and the posters, what we've seen so far, does not do this film justice. And I'm looking forward to going back and seeing this. It's made me very excited for the Peacemaker TV series that will be coming out, and just happy for the future of DC Comics movies, as it were, because if this is a sign of the things to come, whether it be, we are getting very different movies. We've got this. Next year we're going to have the Batman. We're going to have the Flash movie. All different ways of storytelling. We are spoiled, I feel. We do have so much when it comes to movies and TV shows and everything else. Just this morning, before recording this review, I watched the Loki finale. And wow, that TV show has blown my mind. I feel just as geeks in general right now, we are being spoiled, and we should be grateful to these content creators and these creative minds and these actors and these directors and these writers and the digital artists. Cinema is something that I have missed dreadfully over the last 2 years because of the pandemic and everything else that's been going on in the world. And if you can safely get to a cinema to watch this film, to experience this movie, and just enjoy that moment, I would love to be in a theatre that has got lots of people in it watching this film, because I just know that the air will be electric and the place would be buzzing. So, thank you for listening and watching to this review. I always like recording these because it's a way for me to get these thoughts off my chest. So I'm sorry if I rambled. Please forgive me. But this film gets people talking, and it's gotten me talking. And I can't wait for the future of cinematic experiences. So, one last time. The Suicide Squad will be released in cinemas on the 30th of July in the UK and August the 6th in the USA. The Suicide Squad. It was bloody brilliant, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. I'm Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel. Thank you for watching and listening to this podcast. I will be back soon with some more adventures, some more reviews, some more interviews and thoughts, and have a super day.